Good evening, everybody. It's Weldon Jones of Sports Media TV Unfiltered. Thanks for tuning in. So first of all, we're going to take a second to congratulate the new NBA champions, the Cleveland Cavaliers, for clinching their first franchise title in over 60 years. Congratulations to LeBron James and the crew. And with that being said, let's move on and talk about this NBA Finals Game 7, because it was crazy. Um, to begin with, on Golden State's part, the losing team, will start there. They seem to have some struggles. And it wasn't, and it was the same thing all series. I don't think Golden State ever had too good of a rhythm this entire series, and it showed after the game one blowout and stuff like that. So that's one thing for sure. And we expected to see an explosion from Steph and Clay, and it just never happened. Now, partially this could be because for certain, Steph had a 38-point game in Cleveland in Game 5, or was it Game 4, or something like that. But outside of that, Steph just didn't seem like himself this series. Something's going on. I mean, some people are talking about off-season surgery and stuff like that, and then that's immediately after the finals, so who knows what's going on there. That definitely played a factor in this, for sure. But, we'll have to see next year if Steph Curry is just in a little bit better physical shape as far as health goes for this season. Now, Golden State losing this series could beg the question that maybe it's not such a good thing to pursue such a crazy record, because they did break the Bulls' regular season record of 73-9, but they didn't win the championship, which in a lot of people's eyes is an incomplete task. And it's kind of like an asterisk on that regular season record. My opinion on that is that is nothing further from the truth. I think that for a team to go 73-9, you got to be a hell of a team. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And you would have to think that at some point, the nature of things, the sports gods, just the ebb and flow of the way life goes, you have to experience winning and losing. And this is obviously words of encouragement for Golden State after a heartbreaking loss in a Game 7. I wouldn't keep those heads down too long. I think you guys are still the best team in basketball, as far as I'm concerned. They definitely call a lot of bad breaks that really tested them, and I think they fought well for what they had to deal with internally, and as far as luck goes. Now, let's talk about Cleveland. Got to give credit where credit's due. Cleveland stepped up. Kyrie Irving averaged 27 points throughout the NBA Finals. He was sensational, albeit their path to the NBA Finals wasn't really that hard. We're not going to hold that against them. LeBron James had a sensational finals. He won another Finals MVP. He's now a 3-time champion, So that's great for him, and we're looking to see now what he's going to do now that he's fulfilled his promise to bring a title to Cleveland, because that was, the storyline of this entire season. Nobody wanted to see LeBron lose this year. No one did. And I certainly don't want to see anybody lose. I'm not a fan of either of these two teams, personally, but the bittersweet thing about professional sports is that somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And I really hate to see anybody have to lose, because all these guys, they bust their humps day in, day out. They work hard. They train their bodies to the best of their abilities. They push their limits, and they're working on their skill set every day to try to be the best at what they do. And that means anything short of winning is disappointment. So at the end of the day, you can only have one winner, and that's just how life is. With that being said, LeBron James needed to not be the loser this time. This was where greatness was called for. Not to say that Steph Curry or Klay Thompson are not great, but they have a whole career ahead of them. These guys are relatively very young, and Steph has so many more years left to improve and really just take advantage of his prime. And the same with Klay, and the same with Draymond and those guys. Like, these guys are going to be perennial NBA Finals contenders for years to come. And I'm saying that as a diehard Spurs fan who wants to see my Spurs win another championship sometime soon. I'm saying that they're going to be a problem for everybody for at least the next decade. And if you don't believe that, then you haven't been watching lately. Now, back to Cleveland. LeBron needed to win this series for his legacy, obviously. He was on the brink of being 2-5 in the NBA Finals. And that is something that is heavily frowned upon. If you look at all the great Hall of Famers that have lost finals, the ones that we talk about that are the best of all time at their positions are up there in the top 10, top 15. These guys barely ever lost on the biggest stage of basketball. And that's not to say that the guys that did lose on the biggest stage at some point don't deserve credit as great players. But it's just how it is. It's public perception. It is what it is. There are certain people like me and other people who, look at the NBA and kind of analyze and look into things and look into numbers and stuff like that actually care about other things besides rings and who wins what. But at the end of the day, 99% of the public don't care about that. They're either just diehard fans, they follow the game. So whoever wins, that's who they consider the best. And that just is what it is. And for LeBron James, this was that kind of situation where his legacy was on the ropes here. And he had the most to lose. And in that, he gained the most he could out of his career, because we know LeBron is aging. It's showing that he's aging. He's a step slower than he used to be. His prime is about over. I think he's past his prime pretty much for his style of play and the way the NBA is going. So this was a key title. This might be LeBron's last championship. Let's just be honest here. It really might be his last championship, because this year, the urgency was there, as if he felt like this might have been his last shot. If it doesn't happen now, then I don't know when it's going to happen again. And that had to be very stressful for him. So congrats to him for, beating the pressure of the expectations on himself and of others and going out there and getting his third title. All right. When we talk about the game, it was a nail biter. It went right down to the wire. Kyrie Irving hit a go-ahead bucket with 1 minute and 9 seconds left. Stephen Curry then missed a go-ahead three-pointer and then, free throws. So, from that perspective, it was a very close game. I predicted it was going to be a 5-point spread in favor of Golden State. It was a 5-point spread in favor of Cleveland. So, I got the 5-point spread part right, but obviously the teams were reversed, which means that's still a pretty darn good prediction. That's pretty accurate. No team was relatively spectacular tonight as far as shooting the basketball. There was a stretch in the fourth quarter where each team just went without a bucket all the way down until the last minute of the quarter. So, from 5 minutes up until 1 minute, nobody scored anything, and that was kind of concerning if you're a fan of either team. And, then, Kyrie finally breaks the basket open and hits one, and then, Steph tries to come back down and tries to put the Warriors, back, where they need to be tied up, and no, it didn't happen. So, with all that being said, Cleveland clinched their first championship. LeBron James has clinched his third championship. And now we're going to be looking to the offseason to see. So let's talk about these two teams in the offseason really quick before we go ahead and get off of this quick and brief post-game show. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Sports Media TV Unfiltered. Again, leave comments, likes, and stuff below. Suggestions, that would be great, because with the offseason coming up, I might pick up some WNBA stuff. I might do some other stuff. Who knows? We'll see. But the point I was getting to, the offseason. So for Cleveland, there's obviously a lot of offseason rumors going on. This might change a lot of that. This championship was pivotal to Cleveland as well, because LeBron was pretty much all but out the door at a certain point, and then, they pulled it out. So this might have kept together a Cleveland team that was destined or bound to pretty much break it up and fall apart. As for Golden State, this offseason should be relatively uneventful. I think their young core is just fine. I just think they've never been in a situation with this much pressure before. The pressure to repeat a championship, and then all these expectations about the Bulls, and comparing them to the Showtime Lakers. And it's very hard to be the best team in basketball for a whole entire season. It's very hard. It's extremely hard. And obviously, Golden State kind of beat themselves a little bit by kind of succumbing to the pressure and kind of getting caught up in the media stuff, and getting frustrated and not playing the way they usually play. We talk about Golden State basketball, and they're always having fun, carelessly running around, free-flowing. They were really stagnant this series. Almost as if they didn't have anything left in the tank, or maybe they were just too cool for scoring. Maybe they were just done with it, man. Who knows? But I'm not saying they didn't compete, but there had to be something drawing them back. And I think they'll get back to that having fun style now. The pressure's off, and I think we could see them in the finals again and again and again. Curry's only going to get better. Clay is only going to get better. Draymond Green is only going to get better. And the same for Zealy and all those guys. There's no reason for them to blow up a core that won them 73 games. There's no reason. The Spurs won 67, and they're not going to blow the whole damn thing up. Why should Golden State? It makes perfect sense for them to keep who they got and just come back next year better prepared mentally. That's all. Now, as far as Golden State, there's also one more thing I really want to address, and it's about Stephen Curry. I still believe that skill-wise, Stephen Curry is the best player on the planet. When you talk about pure skill, I mean, like the craftiness of his ball handling, his hand-eye coordination, his elusiveness, and his competitiveness, and what he has in him and the potential he has, he is truly, I think, still the best player on the planet. With LeBron James, I think that it's a tie for best player in terms of physicality, because LeBron James was blessed with that physicality, but Stephen Curry has always been a little guy. And for him to do what he does as a little guy, I think that says a lot about how great he is. It really does. And when you take the whole body of work into effect, always say this: switch LeBron James and Steph Curry's bodies. Imagine LeBron James being 6'3", 190 pounds with the skill set he has right now. He wouldn't be too spectacular. But imagine Steph Curry being 6'9", 250 pounds with the skill set that he has right now. Steph Curry could play in any era, any time. And he proved it this series. He was so tough. Playing through the injuries, not making excuses for himself or his team. Just simply saying that we have to play better every time. And he just laid it on the line. And albeit the results weren't great, that's part of being great. Is having moments where you don't seem so great. But people who realize true greatness would realize that the effort that Steph Curry has put forth through all this scrutiny, through the media and all this other stuff like that, that he gets because he has a unique skill set and God-given talent that he is not afraid to use, and he's not afraid to be himself. I think that Steph Curry really is something special. And I say the same for LeBron. He's something special, but we've known that for a long time now. We get it. But obviously, the back-to-back MVP is going to come back even stronger next year, as we've seen. So I'm going to be very interested to see who's in the finals next year. It's probably still going to be the Cavaliers over on that end, and Golden State has a very good chance of pretty much just making the finals again the next year as well. So I think they'll get a rematch for sure. And I think Stephen Curry will be better than he's been this year because he's done nothing but improve his entire career. So there's no reason to believe otherwise. But the next step for Steph Curry is to just improve his physicality. Because if he improves his physicality, I think that there is going to be no player in the league that can touch him. Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, LeBron, no one would be able to. Once he improves that physicality, I mean, as far as like his whatever he needs to do to make it so that he can get injured less and, just be able to play more physical and take a little more wear and tear. Once he figures that part out, man, it's going to be pretty much a wrap for everybody. So that's something that everyone needs to be aware of because he's already proven that he can work hard to get stronger. He's stronger this year than he was last year. And if he gets stronger, continues to get stronger, it's going to get to a point where you really can't do anything with him, which you already can't right now. But with the way that the league is going, they obviously treat him differently. And so, maybe the answer is for him just to get physically more dominant physically. And if he can do that, he will definitely be undisputably the best player in the game that we have right now. Because that shooting ability and that playmaking ability and those point guard skills coupled with the physicality needed to be able to take a little bit of a beating and some wear and tear, he's going to be in great shape. So I don't worry about Golden State. I don't worry about Cleveland for their current situation. I think these two teams are going to be getting even better going forward. And, maybe we'll see different results every single year. That'd be great, But to say that, either of these teams' title windows are over, that's definitely an overstatement, and it definitely should be shunned if it is said. So, congrats to the new champions. Congrats to the NBA Finals runner-ups because they went through a hell of a playoffs, and they're gonna be back. You can definitely bank that they're going to be back stronger than ever, and hopefully just having fun playing the game. They know how to play it, the way they know how to play it. And for Cleveland, good luck going forward. Good luck to LeBron going forward. Nothing but love for both sides. They gave us a great NBA Finals series, despite the controversy and the terrible officiating and everything like that. But they gave us a great Finals series, and that's all that counts at the end of the day. There's always going to be drama in sports at this level, so we can't rule that out. Congrats to both sides, and everybody enjoy the off season. And the tip off comes, I'll be right here, updating you guys on stuff. And I also want to take a second to thank everyone who has taken the time out to watch these videos in my first NBA season of doing, this kind of a thing where I go and analyze and research and give you guys the scoops and stuff like that. So I appreciate all the support that's been coming out, and hopefully that fan base grows, and hopefully I get better as time goes on. I'm definitely going to go back and do this the next NBA season that comes up and stuff like that. And hopefully you'll be seeing, more and more content from me. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the NBA Finals. Have a safe night. Everyone who's celebrating or not celebrating, make sure you're ready for work in the morning. And everyone just have a blessed day, man. Thanks.